Hi, my name is Dan, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get contact between your own blueprint classes and the level blueprint. You're probably aware that each level, as well as having the things that are inside it in your world outliner, whatever objects you put in the level, also has a blueprint script that you can use, and it's accessed through here, the blueprint, open level blueprint. I find that a lot of the tutorials that are out there for Unreal use the level blueprints as a kind of meta class where you can put stuff about the game. It's not the best place to put that sort of stuff for a couple of reasons. The first one is if your game was to be larger than one level, then any state or any variables that you put inside the level blueprint are only applicable in that one level that you've created. And the other one is that while communication in one direction is really easy, communication in the other direction is hard. Or a little bit tricky anyway. So I'm going to show you both directions. I'm going to show you the easy bit first. I'm going to talk about what the setup is that I've got here. So I've got a third-person template here, and I've got a couple of blueprint classes that I've created. I've got a light, and inside the light, let's have a look at the functionality. I've just got, it's just the point lights, and in the event graph, there's a custom event called toggle light, which allows me to switch the light on and off. And the other thing is a switch, and you might have seen switches like this in some others of my videos. It's just a foot plate with a small collision box that you can stand on, and it will detect when the player stands on it. At the moment, there's no scripts in there. We'll come to that in a little bit. Okay. The other thing that I've got is in the level blueprint itself. So let's open that up. I've just pre-prepared some functionality in here. And this is, there's a couple of things here. So the first one is linked to event tick, which is basically a timer. And it's timing through, and it's going to give me an output here every second. And I'm not going to talk about how that's doing it. At the moment, it's linked to a print string, so it should say, which says tick, it should say tick every second. The other thing about this is that it's also dependent on this variable here, running, which is over here, which is a Boolean, which is set by default to true. But if you set that to false, then it'll stop doing this tick. It will stop coming through. And so the other thing that I've got on here is a toggle running event. When you hit that event, alternately, it will switch running on and switch it off. I will talk about how this one works here because it's a really nice, cute bit of easy programming, which is you take, if you've got a Boolean variable, you take that and you just stick not on it and set it to itself. And that's a way of toggling really easily. It would be tempting to do something where you check the state and turn it to the different state depending on what it is, but this will just work whatever your original state is. So that's fine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize that and show you that text tick working. Tick, tick, tick. And because the timing of the amount of text that's up there, it only lasts for 2 seconds, so you only see two at once. You have to trust me that it's keeping adding one every second on there. Okay. So back into that level blueprint, I'm going to show you how to access the light from this level blueprint, which is really straightforward. So I'm going to take off that print string and not minimize it, but make it smaller. I'm going to grab hold of that light in the level, which highlights it up here in the world outliner on the right-hand side. And if we want to get a reference to that in our blueprint, all we need to do is to drag from there into our blueprint. And hey presto, it's there. And the event in there is toggle light, is it called? Yes. And so we can just link that up. And let's see if that's working. So yeah, the light's going on and off. I've made the level a bit darker so that you can see the light a bit easier. So that's the easy bit. The next bit is what we want to do is to use this switch here. When I stand on the switch, to turn the flashing light on and off. So that needs to communicate with the level blueprint and say, I want to change that variable. We've got an event there that we would hopefully be able to use and able to do that. Let's just remind ourselves what that event's called. It's toggle running. There we go. Okay, so if we open up lights, no, it's not the light blueprint we want, it's the switch, of course. Apologies. Switch. And this is going to be on an event that's begin overlap. We're just going to take that out of the way. So we need to get hold of the level. Right, what do you think we're going to type in? Get level. Get streaming level, get the current level name. You can't get the level blueprint. And in fact, when I first encountered wanting to do this, I spent a very long time trying to find out how to talk to the level blueprint. And you can't get a node, as far as I know, and I have looked for a long time, that gives you direct access to the level blueprint. We have to be tricky. And what we're going to do is we're going to use something that isn't actually meant for this, but it works. Okay, so we're going to use an event dispatcher. And if you want to know what event dispatchers properly do, then I've got another video which is about broadcasting events, which shows you how to use them in a proper sense. This is kind of an exploit, really, in that you can make this work, but it wasn't intended to work in this way. So I'm just going to have an event dispatcher here. I'm going to say, call it StepOn, which is because it's going to happen when you step on the switch. And then I'm going to drag out there and call it. And I'm going to do that one on actor. We can overlap. So the only moving thing in this level is the player. So we know that nothing else is going to step on there. So we're safe. If there were AI things wandering about, we might want to check that we've got the right thing, the right actor that's stepping on there. But for this circumstance, we don't need to. So I'm going to compile that. And then we're going to go back into the level blueprint, which was open. No, it wasn't open. So we'll open it. Open level blueprints. Okay. Now, the trick here is that we want to get hold of that element. And what did we call it? We call it StepOn. It doesn't appear. And this is where it gets slightly bizarre. Is that if I minimize that down, and if then I select the switch that I want to use in the level, and go back here and right click to get that up and type in StepOn, it appears, and we've got it looks like an event there, add StepOn. Okay, so instead of using this toggle running event, we're actually going to use this add StepOn. Now, it seems maybe a bit counterintuitive that you need to highlight the particular switch that you're going to use before you can actually get Blueprint to access that particular node. Actually, it does make sense in that you may have several switches in your level, so you may not know which switch you're meant to be accessing the StepOn event dispatcher from. And I'm going to emphasize again, this is not what event dispatchers were meant for, but it does work, and touch wood. So what I've done is I've done that StepOn in the switch, and I've linked that to the switch in the running here in the level blueprint. Let's check it out and see if it works. So the light's flashing. I'm going to move on to the switch, and it stopped flashing. So it has turned off the lights, and step on it again, it should switch on the flashing light again. So there we go. That's how to talk between the level blueprints and classes that you've created. Communication from the level blueprints to any object that's inside the level is really easy because you can just drag a reference to that object in from the world outliner. Communication from any object to the level blueprint is weird and tricky. And that's it from me for now.